Did we set a record?
Good evening. I'd like to call this regular meeting of the Shola City Council to order. By roll call, see that all council members are present, with the exception of Councilwoman Kakavas, who's excused this evening, and we hope that Erin has her baby. So that's exciting.
He's having a baby.
Would like to welcome those who may be watching us tonight on City 56, as well as those who are with us here tonight at City Hall. We'd like to begin this evening by an invocation. We've asked Council Vice Mayor if he'd offer the invocation, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance by Councilmember Hatch. And those who would like to join with us, please stand.
Our Heavenly Father, we thank you for letting us gather here tonight. We just ask you guide us and direct us in the things that needs to be done through the city. We just ask that you let us make great decisions and good decisions, and that we can cover everything that we need to cover. We ask that you protect the people that's in the way of this hurricane. We ask that you protect their homes and their property and also lives. And we just ask that you be with us as the weather comes into Shola, that we get more rain and things can grow a lot better and keep us out of the fire danger. We just ask that you protect and bring home the people that serves this great United States, and we just ask that you protect them on their way home and what they're doing abroad. We ask this in your precious name. Amen.
Amen. Please join me in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Vice Mayor and Council Member Hatch. Appreciate it. Our first item tonight is call to the public. Any citizen desiring to speak on a matter that is not scheduled on the agenda may do so at this time. You state your name and for the record.
Rick Furneaux, 1331 East Meadowview Place, Shola. I just want to compliment the City of Shola, the Public Works Department. They've just done an outstanding job lately. I think of the Frontier Field, the parking lot that's going on out there. Anyway, please pass that along. Mikey Mariscal and his team have just done an outstanding job, and I think they need to be recognized for that. So thank you.
Appreciate that. Anyone else on call to the public? I see no one else moved. We'll close call to the public and come back to the consent calendar. Is there any items on the consent calendar that need to be discussed individually? I'll read what those items are. We have a proclamation proclaiming September the 11th to the 14th as Navajo County Fair Days in the city of Shola. Consideration of acceptance of grant funds from the Arizona Department of Environmental Quality for asbestos and lead-based paint survey at 700 East McNeil. And we have a consideration of the minutes of the Shola City Council special meeting of August 19, 2019.
So moved.
We have a motion by Councilmember Leach and seconded by Councilmember Crittenden. Any other discussion? Call for the vote. All those in favor? Any opposed? See that pass 6-0. Thank you. Next item is new business. Public hearing, ordinance number 201906, amending ordinance number 201904, amending the zoning ordinance of the city, amending the zoning map, and amending the zoning of property known as AP number 21031-020K from C2 general commercial to R115 single family residential homes. Mr. Dragaskas.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. At its February 26, 2019 meeting, the Planning and Zoning Commission voted 6-1. Commissioner Hudson opposed. To recommend approval of the zone change request submitted by Bill Haltom of Creative Development, LLC. Mr. Haltom requested to rezone a portion of AP number 21031-020K from C2 general commercial to R115 single family residential manufactured homes excluded 15,000 square feet to allow for the construction of a single family residence. Two individuals addressed the commissioners during the public hearing at the February 26, 2019 Planning and Zoning Commission meeting with concerns related to public notification, lot size, density, traffic, and the status of the uncompleted commercial cabin. At its March 5th, 2019 meeting, the City Council approved Mr. Haltom's zone change request. As stipulated by the applicant, the exterior of the commercial building currently under construction on AP number 21031-020K was to be completed within 90 days from the effective date of ordinance number 2019-04. This condition has not been met. Building permit number 17230 was issued on October 3rd, 2017 to allow for constructing a single rental cabin. The applicant has proposed 18 two-story short-term rental cabins consisting of 2 units per building for a total of 36 units on the subject property. Unit sizes range from approximately 500 square feet for lower-level units to approximately 400 square feet for upper-level units. The kitchen was not indicated on the approved building plans. As part of the zone change request, the applicant indicated that the scale of the approved commercial project would be reduced by changing 2 of the proposed buildings from 2-story to 1-story and eliminating 3 of the proposed buildings to construct a single-family residential home on the southwest side of the property. These changes reduce the total number of buildings from 18 to 15 and the total number of units from 36 to 28. Minimum lot size in the R115 zone is 15,000 square feet. The residential lot size proposed by the applicant is approximately 15,400 square feet. The adjacent property southwest of the subject property is zoned R115. Along Meadowview Place, lots range from a minimum size of 16,117 square feet to a maximum of 87,991 square feet. Based on non-compliance with condition number 6, that being the stipulated time frame for completion of the outside of the building, of ordinance number 2019-04, staff initiated the zoning reversion process. Letters were sent to all properties within 300 feet of the subject property, as well as to the members of the public who spoke at the March 5th, 2019 council meeting, inviting them to a neighborhood meeting on July 18th, 2019, to discuss the reversion of this portion of the subject property from residential R115 back to commercial C2. 2 people attended the meeting with general questions regarding the process. Following the neighborhood meeting, public hearings were scheduled for both the Planning and Zoning Commission and the City Council, with the property being posted and letters sent to all property owners within 300 feet of the subject property, as well as the owner of the subject property. During the Commission hearing of August 27, 2019, 2 area property representatives addressed the Commission. One had questions related to fencing requirements between commercial and residential property. The other owner spoke in favor of retaining the residential zoning based on a lesser impact on the existing residential neighborhood. Following the public hearing, the Commission voted 7-0 to recommend to the Council that ordinance number 2019-04 remain in effect, with conditions number 1 through 5 remaining as conditions of approval and condition number 6 being removed. These conditions would read: Number 1, all development shall comply with all federal, state, and local requirements, including building permit requirements. Number 2, the minimum lot size for the residence shall be 15,000 square feet. Number 3, as shown on the proposed site plan, there shall be a minimum 20-foot setback along the south side of the subject property. Number 4, the lot shall be split prior to the issuance of a building permit for a residence. Number 5, minimum dwelling size exclusive of patios, porches, and garages shall be 2,500 square feet. And condition number 6, which is recommended to be deleted by the Commission, is applicant agrees to complete the exterior of the current building within 90 days. At this time, staff is available for questions. This has been scheduled for a public hearing.
Thank you. Look for questions first, before we open it up to a public hearing. Councilmember Crittenden.
In your opinion, the 90 days, that we are asked to delete from here, what is saying that building will be completed, in your opinion, whether it be 90 days, 100 days, 500 days? What's going to make it get completed?
Mr. Crittenden, that's a very difficult question for me to answer, as I'm not involved with the project other than from a staff level. I can't go out and start pounding nails on the project. I can't put windows in. I can't do those types of things. What we do have in place is on our building permit, just part of the standard building code, is that building permits are active for a period of 6 months. As long as there is activity on the project, those building permits remain valid. In the case of this project, we recently completed an inspection on the property where our building official met with the engineer on the project, walked the project, and inspected the progress to date. As part of that, was given the okay to go ahead and move forward with construction of the project from an engineering standpoint. So there are some requirements based on city code, on adopted building code. But again, that's really up to the property owner to make sure that they are moving forward. If they don't, our policy has always been to work with the property owner to try to get properties and projects completed. However, in some cases, as directed by council, we could move forward with canceling of a building permit if they did not meet the required timeline.
Councilmember Leach.
What was some of the reasoning behind removing number 6 by the Planning and Zoning Commission?
As requested by not an adjacent neighbor, but a neighbor within the notification, actually, sorry, not even within the notification, on the same street as this project. The concerns brought forward by that resident were if the residential went back to commercial, that would lead to the possibility of additional traffic and commercial being closer now to the existing residential than what it would be if this residential were to stay in place.
And you have to move that condition, otherwise he's in non-compliance and it automatically reverts back.
Basically, the 90 days has passed and he didn't complete the condition. He didn't comply.
Vice Mayor.
Justin, I have one question, and I'm not sure if you can answer it or not, but I'm at least throw it at you and see what happens. We as a council put on there 90 days to have that thing done, and it hasn't been done. Now they're going to scratch it. I think what we need to do, and I might be speaking for myself, but when we as a council come together and put something across the tape, we need to have something we can sink our teeth into and say, this is what we're asking, because what we did is we had a lot of people coming to us and saying, what kind of ugly looking thing is that and when is it going to get done? So we, working with the voters of Show Low, we decided that, we'll take action on it, and that's about the only thing we could do. But still after that, and he kind of thumbed his nose up at us and not did nothing for 90 days, we need to have something where we, the council, can sink our teeth into and say, this is what's going to happen, and you got 90 days to do it, and that's it. But it seems like whenever we did anything like this, it just comes across and then just kind of like, forget it, council can't do a dang thing about it. And it's starting to really frustrate a lot of people, because I had them come up to me and say, how come you haven't done nothing? I said, our hands are tied. This is what I've done. But I said, we need to get something where this council's got some meat into it where we can make a decision on some of that stuff. I don't know if you can answer that or not.
Well, to address the first part of that, my mother-in-law has asked me about this project. So I think that kind of tells you we're getting the same pressure from the staff side. We feel that same frustration. We receive, it seems like every week we're getting phone calls related to that. In this case, it is difficult. We've met with the council. We explained that during the first time. The building of these types of units on this property is a permitted use. The only reason that the condition that was put on for the 90 days, the only reason that was able to be put on is because the applicant himself stipulated that he would agree to that. In this case, recourse that the council has, you can go ahead and revert the zoning back. That is one recourse. He did not comply with condition number 6. It would be up to this council to determine if that is in the best interest of the neighborhood and the city in general. As a council, you have, do we look at maybe some code changes? Do we look at some different things like that? One thing is we issue hundreds of building permits every year. Over the course of many years, we've issued hundreds of building permits each year. We seem to have a problem with one of them. And so we're still working with the property owner. We're hopeful that things are going to move forward. But again, we have one very highly visible issue out of however many, literally thousands of permits that we've issued on this. So obviously something we want to resolve just as council does.
You know, there's always one apple that always has to break it, but, you know, it's just something that I believe that we as a council need to have something where we can really sink our teeth in and say, no, this is the line and you can't cross this line. If you do, that's it. So,
Councilmember Crittenden.
Is there a logical reason why the property owner is not here?
I actually spoke with the property owner this afternoon. He indicated that because this was a city-initiated zone change, that he felt that he was not required to be here and therefore would probably not make the meeting.
Councilmember Hatch.
I have a question I'd like to address to Attorney Brown. Is there a possibility, for as far as putting teeth in this and getting some action on the part of the owner and builder? Could we initiate a timeframe that if it's exceeded, we could go forward with a condemnation proceeding on that property, on that dwelling?
So, council, the issue with this is making it really difficult is this was a permitted use.
Right.
And just like in any other zone where something's permitted, you can't really put conditions on it because they are allowed to do that. And that's what made it so difficult with this project to start with. It was a permitted use. Because the applicant indicated that he would self-impose that condition on him at that March council meeting, the council was able to put that 90-day condition on it. He agreed to that. But if he hadn't agreed to it, there wasn't really a whole lot you could do because it's a permitted use in that area. Just like if he was going to build an office space or any other thing in a commercial zone. So you have to treat everybody in that zone equally. You can't put conditions on some and not on others, and that's what makes it difficult with the project. We understand you're frustrated. We're frustrated too as a staff, but that's really the underlying legal thing that's driving this is that you can't really go back and say, well, wait a minute. We didn't really want you to build that one thing right there, even though it was permitted. That's the hard part. Now, going forward, can we look at trying to do some things? We could, but remember, when you do it for one, it applies to all. And so that's the thing that Councilman Alsop was kind of frustrated with is you got one person that's kind of not complying. Do you make that requirement on everybody else that has been? That's where it's a hard thing.
I understand, but it's still, it leaves us in a position of being unable to enforce a mandate. And it was agreed to by the builder. And here we sit.
That doesn't mean there's other ways we can enforce it, as Justin has said, but through this zoning process, it's going to be really hard for you to enforce it through the zoning process. We'll have to go through the building permit, violation of the building permit process, and so forth.
How long is the building permit good? And you said, normally 6 months or whatever. Is it an indefinite period of time that somebody can have?
Yeah, they're good for a period of 6 months. If you have an inspection during that 6 months, then it triggers another 6 months. So realistically, I mean, in theory, could somebody keep it going for an extended period of time? Certainly. And we have had some homeowners that have done that where they say, hey, I'm building this out of pocket. I'm going to come up during the summer and I'm going to get this and this and this done, but I'm not going to finish the house that I pulled my permit for 2 years ago. And so they come and they get the inspections, we go out and inspect, and the permit renews. In this case, he did get an inspection, I believe it was a couple weeks ago. So we're back into the 6 month.
That inspection was for what?
It was for the structural engineering of the property, of the project.
So there wasn't anything inspected physically on the site?
No, the building was inspected in conjunction with the engineer for the project. They had changed a few things when they actually started building that didn't match what was on the plans, which meant that the engineer, because it was an engineered structure, it wasn't built just specifically under the building code, that the engineer had to come out and verify that what they did and what they're proposing to do would still meet the underlying requirements of the code. So our inspector, along with the engineer, went to the building, inspected what had been built, and then went over recommendations for modification moving forward. And we did receive those plans August 23rd, reflecting that visit.
So is there a limitation to how many modifications he can continue to make without doing anything physical to the unit?
Again, as long as we're doing it under the building code, if an inspection is done every 6 months, that
Well, that-
triggers a
You know,
renewal.
I think an inspection, you need to have something physical done to the building at a certain point too, though. I mean, he could keep this game going without doing anything physical. And you guys need to realize there comes a point where you just refuse to you know, look at any more modifications to a building too. I mean, there comes a certain point, I don't know that you can or can't, but it seems like he could just never physically do anything and still modifying and modifying. There, you know, you can only modify something so many times, and you know, I guess I don't know. It just seems, you know, I would just advise, and I don't know, as the council, I'm one person as well, but advise that if there's ever a time that he has not done something in that 6-month period, that we revoke the building permit and, you know, take other actions that's necessary that we have the authority to do so. And but I would be very kind to continue to play the game of modifications with him.
Did you say that, did he requested it, or did we, the city, request to go out there and see that?
The inspection, no, that was based on their request.
That was on there.
Let me clarify, it's based on their request, correct me if I'm wrong, because we would not allow anything else to happen to the building because of how he had built it. So they had to get a new engineering report.
Yes, and that would be correct. But they were the ones that contacted us and said, please come out and look at this now. So it was not us calling and saying, are you ready for us to come look?
This time I'm going to open this up to public hearing. Any citizens desiring to talk about this item may do so.
Rick Furneaux, 1331 East Meadowview. Suggestion would be, at least I would suggest, since I would consider that in a visual corridor, that maybe you put some type of performance bond on projects in visual corridors. And that way, you know, it'd give them more of an incentive to, you know, to complete the project. From a resident on that street, I would certainly like to see that this piece become, that is now residential, stay residential for obvious reasons, less traffic, more of a buffer from the commercial area. And that's the position of several of the property owners on Meadowview, that it stay residential. And but a visual corridor, which I know we have established some of those in the city, possibly adding that performance bond of some sort, you know, in visual corridors would protect us against something like that. And I think that'd be pretty simple. And then it wouldn't apply to everybody building permit, but just commercial buildings that are in visual corridors. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Kim Furneaux, 1331 East Meadowview Place. Rick and I were out of the state when the thing happened in February or March, where you allowed the 1/3 acre to become residential. And when we heard about it, frankly, we were happy for the reasons he just stated. It gave us a little bit more buffer, less of those buildings that will be built. And we were very happy about that. And I understand the reason he requested it was to get funds to finish the project. And now that that hasn't happened, I understand your frustration, but to revert it back is only going to punish us, the neighbors, and Mr. Haltom. And at this point, I really don't care about Mr. Haltom because I'm trying to protect our neighborhood. And there'd be no advantage to our neighborhood to revert it back. So one thing is, and it didn't help at this point with the situation you've got anyway. I mean, it's a bad situation you have, and you know, I don't know what your rules are for no matter who, if they don't complete a project. if there's a cease and desist, or it's now an attractive nuisance. I mean, I'm surprised little kids haven't got in it and been hurt, because I would think it'd be neat if I was a little kid to go check it out. But anyway, from a neighborhood viewpoint, to revert it back to commercial is going to hurt our neighborhood further. So.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Kyle Thomas, 1200 Meadowview Place. So I've been here before and kind of expressed my opinions. I had opposed the rezoning based on, I thought it was a dumb idea to build a house to try and fund a commercial project that couldn't get off the ground because it had no funding. But I agree, with the Furneaux in that, I don't see any reason to revert it back. I don't know that there's ever going to be 18 structures built there. Maybe, who knows? Probably not. I can't seem to really get one done. That he didn't come to this meeting tonight, I don't understand that at all. To be able to talk about what's happening there and the progress. So yeah, I would say, keep it a residential zoning there. Maybe if he doesn't, sells it, somebody else will come along, maybe build a house there and contribute to the neighborhood atmosphere and, like you say, kind of buffer. So, so I don't mean to sound like a politician when I said I was for it before I was against it, or however that goes. But but that's kind of what I'm saying. I think you keep some residential there, and who knows, maybe it moves on, and somebody comes along and says, "Hey, you know what? You just make some more residential lots and build some houses there, and just kind of complete the neighborhood." I don't know. And so that's my opinion as far as the zoning that's been done. One of the things, so I guess I have a question. So the definition of progress, or did you say activity, right, is it doesn't even have to be physical activity. Is that right? On the project construction itself, it can just be this revamping of the project. Is that correct? Or do they actually have to do something? Oh, okay, great. Because, I think we're coming up on 2 years of permitting since it was permitted in October, I believe, 2017. That's what they said the other night.
October 3rd.
Right. And really, since the original part went up, the activity there has been very minimal. Seems like whenever there's something coming up, it's going to come before the council a week or a day before there's something going on. There's a hole cut in the building, or some dirt or something moved on the property, but there's no real progress per se. I think that goes without saying, because you drive past it every day like I do, and so it's you can see that there's not really a whole lot of progress or activity there. Since the last change, I would say has almost been zero activity at the site when those conditions were put on. What was it? How many months ago? March? Is that right? I keep looking at Councilman Kelly because I think he's the one who suggested it. And so I don't know what the definition of activity is to retain a permit exactly, but maybe that's something that could be discussed. What the definition of activity is. Is it just showing up at the property, or is it actually contributing to the progress? How do you define the progress of the project?
Well, there usually has to be so much work done to call for another inspection, whether it be so much plumbing or so much a roof inspection or foundation inspection that you have, but you'd have to do so much work to call out another phase for an inspection or rough in.
That's all I have. Thanks.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Any other comments of the public? Seeing no one else moved, I'll close the public hearing and come back. I have one more question, Justin. You explained he'd be required to put a fence up then between the commercial and residential. Would you just explain what that fence would be required?
Certainly. So this was discussed with the Planning and Zoning Commission last week. Anytime you have a commercial project that butts up against a residential property, with the development of the commercial project, they are required to put up a solid material fence or wall between the commercial and the residential. So in this case, looking at the map that we have on the overhead, we have the general area of what would be the residential. It's kind of in blue, and the commercial is in gray. Anywhere you see the gray touch the blue, he would be required to put up a solid material fence or wall. That's either a block wall or a wood type fence. Also there on the very tail end, kind of the panhandle down here of the gray where it abuts existing residential, they would also need to put a wall or a fence there. So essentially down the line here where they intersect with the commercial and residential, then south along that panhandle, and then towards White Mountain Road on the terminus of that panhandle is where they would be required to put that fence or wall.
Why was that panhandle carved out as opposed to going straight down?
We can show you here. You can see they chose to retain that portion so that they could retain two buildings. However, they had committed those rather than being two-story buildings. Those would now become single-story buildings.
All right, that makes sense.
So that this building on top could, have a better view going towards the meadow.
Thank you. And what type of material does that fence have to be? A solid?
Has to either be a block or wood.
Block of wood?
You could do a vinyl fence. I mean, it's got to be something similar. Chain link with slats doesn't work. Something solid.
Is there a minimum height?
Minimum height is 6 foot. They can go higher if approved by the Planning and Zoning Commission.
So help me understand this ordinance. If we approve ordinance number 2019-06, we would just keep the zoning as is currently as residential.
As recommended by the Planning and Zoning Commission, if you went forward with the ordinance as recommended, the residential portion would stay the same on the subject property. All conditions of approval, items 1 through 5, would remain the same. The only item that would change is item 6, which was the 90-day completion timeframe.
Thank you. Any other comments of council members? Seeing none, I'll close this public hearing at this time. I'll ask the city clerk if she would read ordinance number 2019-06 by title only, since all council members have a copy.
Thank you, Mayor. An ordinance of the mayor and council of the city of Show Low, Arizona, amending ordinance number 2019-04, amending the zoning ordinance of the city, amending the zoning map, changing the zoning on property located in section 29, township 10 north, range 22 east of the Gila and Salt River Meridian, Navajo County, Arizona, more particularly described as a portion of AP number 21031-020K from C2 general commercial to R115 single-family residential, manufactured homes excluded, 15,000 square feet.
Thank you. Look for a motion from council. See nobody moved, I'll move. I moved. I got to go back to my copy. I move to adopt ordinance number 2019-06. There's a motion. Is there a second? Second by Councilmember Kelly. Any other discussion? Yeah, Vice Mayor.
So, before we do the vote, I just want to make sure that we're all listening to it right. If we vote on yes on it, it stays exactly the way it is right now. If we vote no on it, it's going to revert back.
No reverts back to commercial. Yes keeps it residential.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Correct, with the exception of
Item number
6.
6.
Yes.
Councilmember Kelly.
And I was just wanting to clarify, it's my understanding, when it first came to us, it didn't have that number 6. We added that, and somebody could say, what do you mean we? Because I did it, I guess, at the applicant's agreement. And I thought that was a little bit of a pleaser for the neighborhood, have him agreed to get going on it. And am I correct? When it came to us, it did not have 6 on it.
That is, Mr. Kelly's correct. Condition 6 was added by the council, I think in response to concerns that have been brought forth by the public and council, and an assurance by the applicant that things would be done within 90 days. Based on those, that is why that condition was added.
Thank you.
And I think because we're not changing a zone, we cannot add any new conditions. And even if we change the zone, revert back, we cannot add any new conditions. So
I guess I'm confused as to why we need to vote to not change it. Can somebody clear that up for me?
Well, the condition was that it would essentially revert back if he didn't complete the condition. He didn't complete it. So we put it back on here because that's the process. You can revert it back, or you can keep it the same the way it is. You don't have to.
Okay, I knew there was a better reason than I could focus on real quick. Okay, thank you.
any other discussion then? Seeing none, I'll call.
I'm sorry. I would just observe that a preponderance and maybe 100% of what we've heard from tonight is asking us not to revert it. And the main objection that I recall was a traffic factor, which this would logically reduce, was part of my reason for being willing to go forward with it. So I have to be in favor of letting it try to work out. So that's my second to the motion. Thank you.
Any other discussion? Call for the vote. All those in favor? Any opposed? See that passed 5-1.
Just a quick comment. I'm very disappointed that the developer wasn't here. I think he should have been here, whether he didn't need to be because he knows he's got us by the whatever you say, which obviously he knows he does, but I still think he should have been here. It upsets me that he wasn't here, but I agree with them. If I lived there, I'd want it to stay residential too, but he should have been here.
Thank you. Next item is item 7C, consideration of award of a construction contract for East McNeil and South Central Sidewalk Improvement Project, City of Shola, number R1818. Mr. Himstock, thank you for being here.
I didn't know Mr. Imstock was leaving.
Not yet. Good evening, Mayor and Council. City's fiscal year 2020 capital improvement program budget includes $110,055 for a sidewalk connectivity project labeled Sidewalk South Central, and an additional $81,000 for a sidewalk connectivity project labeled Sidewalk McNeil Central to Pomeroy's. The scope of work includes installing curb, gutter, 5-foot sidewalk, ADA ramps, driveways, and required drainage facilities along South Central and East McNeil. Proposed improvements are located along the north side of East McNeil from Central Ave to Pomeroy's Auto Body, and along the west side of Central Ave from McNeil to Owens. The projects were designed by city engineering staff and grouped together in an effort to reduce redundant costs and increase economy of scale. The project has a construction estimate of $228,000. Project was publicly bid in accordance with statutory requirements with the following results. Macaulay Construction, $239,071.25. PAP LLC at $297,130.00. And Standard Construction Company Incorporated at $575,451.00. Staff has identified bid savings from the Sierra Vista Subdivision Roadway Reconstruction Project to help fund the overage amount to award the project. Staff recommends awarding the construction contract for the East McNeil and South Central Sidewalk Improvement Project, City of Shola Project R1818 to Macaulay Construction, and that amount not to exceed $239,071.25, and approve the associated budget transfers. The bid tab is attached, and the exhibit should be up there, and I'm available for any questions.
Councilmember Leach.
I think this is a great idea. We definitely need sidewalks on McNeil and on Central there. I guess my concern is McNeil. Is it, not that we're going to tear up a sidewalk for the work we've done in that area, and I know we're fixing to approve a warranty, I think on the next agenda item, for McNeil. Are we happy with McNeil? For this, I know this is going to be on the side, the south side of the road, but still, there was work that happened on that side, and I know we're approving the warranty and all that stuff on McNeil. I'm just personally not thrilled. I drive that every now and then. It just seems like, I hope the work's done. I hope it's good to go.
So, yeah, the water line work was what was going on these last few months over there. That work was completed in July, the end of July. We're working on finalizing the project with the contractor, working out the final negotiations and the issues at hand, wrap that up. The work is complete. There's areas that were left unpaved intentionally because there are areas underneath the sidewalk. So we made a point not to put asphalt back in the areas that are still dirt, and knowing that the sidewalk is going to go right back on top.
Just to follow up, so they're going to put asphalt back into the repairs that are done. Is that road? I guess that's something that we need to worry about later, but I just hope we're not putting the horse first, because it seems like we need to do more asphalting on that road because of the construction that was in there, but we're going to go ahead and put sidewalk. I mean, I agree. It's going to be awesome to get the sidewalks there. I agree. People from senior center, I mean, it's almost complete walking down the road now. We need to get them out of the ditch. So it's a great idea. I just hope we're not going to be tearing stuff up because some of the stuff on McNeil wasn't ready. I know you guys do your job, and I agree. I'm just driving down it, and I'm going, wow, okay, are we sure we can do this when it seems like we should be asphalting it? So I'm just cautious of that more than anything. I think the central, the other one on the other side's fine, but I just concerned about tearing that sidewalk up if we need to.
Yeah, so when we're done with this scope of this work, on that, the sidewalk will be in place with the curb gutter and the drainage, and there will be complete asphalt back the way it was before the construction started in there.
A complete overlay, though?
No.
That's my point.
No, there are some spots that need some work and additional,
But if
and some of them are in areas that were not where the water line improvements were as well.
Right. Well, that's what I mean. It's just not there, but it's as bad there because you have heavy equipment on it. But we're only repairing what they dug up. But I mean, there's ruts in the road from the equipment being on there. There's a lot more damage that happened to that road because of that construction. It wasn't the best road in the world either, but I just think it needs to. I agree, but I'm just hoping we're ready for it.
And just a side note too, is it's only from Pomeroy's to Central.
Right.
And I'm aware of 3 or 4 spots going up the hill
Right.
that are beyond that scope that do need some asphalt work.
Mm-hmm.
And those need to be handled, internally with our staff.
Thank you.
Is this a 5-foot sidewalk the whole way?
It is.
Is that wider than normal that we put in?
The existing sidewalk coming down the hill on East McNeil, the old sidewalk that was replaced as part of the water line job, we just replaced what was there. That is 4 foot. Our normal sidewalk we try to aim for is 5. They range from 4 to 6 throughout the city. We like to keep it to 5 because the remainder of Central going down to Pine Haven, that's a 5 foot sidewalk.
Okay. Vice Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor. So I just want clarification. East McNeil, we're putting a sidewalk on the north side of East McNeil, correct?
Correct.
From Pomeroy's down to, and then on Central, we're doing on the west side of Central, correct?
That is correct.
All the way down, okay.
Yeah.
Councilmember Kelly.
Yeah, are there special construction challenges on these footages? I mean, it seems like a lot of money. I don't have records on what it costs per foot, but special challenges for this? Is that why?
It's normally more expensive to put add curb and gutter and sidewalk to an already existing roadway. They have to cut the roadway. They have to, leave 2 feet, do the work, and then patch it back. It's a little more pricey. We've seen concrete prices all over the place this summer. People are very busy. You can just see in the bids alone that they range significantly. And there were some challenges. Two big ones to add was the drainage, how to get the drainage to work out right behind Cal Ranch. And there was a retaining wall that we had to add to keep that hillside from sloughing near Pine Haven. And those added additional costs that weren't highlighted in the original preliminary scope. budget in the project as well.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Councilmember Leach?
One more comment, or question. Is this going to be rolled? Because there's going to be a lot of traffic on that side with the trucks and stuff. And I'm sure they're going to be aware of that. I hope they don't tear it up by driving these semis over it because there's a lot of traffic that's going to be behind Cal Ranch. So
Yeah, you're talking about McNeil specifically, right?
McNeil, yeah.
So we met with the owners of that shopping complex. Zell, I believe, was the corporation that, and I actually met the project manager, the lady out on site. I walked what I wanted to propose. We actually want to reduce the amounts of in and outs on McNeil to make it safer and more pinned down to where you can access it. So there will be the normal driveway, which is right by Pomeroy's. It'll be a concrete asphalt to get in and out. It'll be large, about 30 feet. Then we're doing a single large 45-foot oversized driveway for the semis right in the middle of kind of the shopping complex. Everything else will be vertical curb. The goal is to funnel the traffic to identify locations so we don't have the constant conflict on McNeil. And then at the very end of the project, you're right, the last 100 feet from Central coming down to Cal Ranch will be roll curb so they can get their forklifts or skid steers. There's things in and out of that loadings. So it'll be a combination of the two. But
So that's probably why it drove up the price, I would guess, too, because
a little bit of both.
Thank you.
But we did meet with them just so you know, and they're happy with the plans. Or happy
Sure
with
they
the,
are.
happy with the
We're
access.
improving their property. Why wouldn't they be?
Councilmember Kelly?
You know, where we know semis are going to be crossing at, are they required to pour a thicker, heavy duty?
Yes, sir.
Oh,
So
thank you.
this will be a commercial driveway, which in a MAG, a normal driveway, I believe is 5 or 6 inches. The commercials are 9 thicker.
Thank you. That would help account for the cost.
And there's more cost. Keep bringing that up.
Any other discussion? I'll look for a motion. Councilmember Leach?
I move to award the construction contract for the East McNeil and South Central Sidewalk Improvement Project, City of Show Low Project number R-1818 to Macaulay Construction, an amount not to exceed $239,071.25 and approve the associate budget transfers.
Motion second by Vice Mayor. Any other discussion? Call for the vote. All those in favor? Any opposed? See that pass 6-0. Thank you.
And we should know everything that's in there, right? Since we just got done working on it. So there better not be coming back saying, oh, wait, we just hit a power line. Better know where it's at.
Next item, 7D has been pulled from tonight's agenda.
No record meeting.
So that brings us to item number 8, summary of current events. I look to council members for current events. Vice Mayor?
Thank you, Mayor. I just want, hopefully everybody had a great time at the Battle of the Bands and food vans, because I've heard nothing but great compliments about it, just that it was long going and everybody's having fun, and it was hot at the beginning and cool towards the end. So hopefully they had a great time. And I had an opportunity to go with council down to Tucson for the League of Cities and Towns and went through some classes down there. So just want to thank everybody for going down there, and those classes were good classes and something we always need. That's it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other council members? No other council members? Turn the time to the city manager for his report.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a couple things to report. Recreation Department has planned a combined event for next Saturday, September 7th at City Park from 3 to 8 p.m. that includes music in the park and a celebration of the end of the Community 100-Mile Challenge. There will be live music, free kids' activities, and craft and food vendors. For more information, you can call 532-4140. The third annual Guns and Hoses softball game between the Show Low Police Department and the Timber Mesa Fire and Medical District is Wednesday, September 11th at 6 p.m. at the Senior Field at City Park. Admission is free. They'll have raffle tickets available for purchase, a 50-50 raffle and other prizes. Food from the house will be available for purchase. They'll have a national anthem and pipes and drums post the colors. All proceeds will benefit the Darren Reed Foundation, a charity that supports local law enforcement. And finally, we're starting to get a few public works projects around town. Sierra Vista subdivision roadway reconstruction is scheduled to begin next Monday, September 9th. We also have scheduled to start moving the Adams family cabin next week. And another project, a sewer line in the Fools Hollow Wash area. Those will all be ongoing. We just want to thank everybody for their patience as we improve the city with these projects.
Thank you. Any other report?
Just quick comment, if nobody.
Councilmember Crittenden.
Okay.
I do want to remind everybody, and I don't think we brought it up, the Sholo Chamber of Commerce is having their monthly breakfast tomorrow morning at what time, Ed? 8 o'clock. And it's at Salt Terrace, so if you belong to the chamber, you're a business there, and you want to go promote your business, I highly recommend inviting you there.
I think even if you don't belong to the chamber, you can come.
Yes, you can.
Yeah?
Yeah, but you have to pay double for breakfast.
That's right.
Okay.
Double zero.
Not really, but
Councilmember Leach.
Just to add on to Mr. Mooter's comment, I was at a NACOG meeting last Thursday, and Bob Adams was there, and the family's so excited about this project, unbelievable, so their legacy can live on in Sholo and the history of Sholo. So, and I guess we're going to do a wagon. I think we talked about a wagon, but they're so excited about doing this. They're having a big family reunion gathering there. I think, they might have already had it. Saturday. It's this Saturday. So it's kind of cool. They're celebrating it, and I just think they're pretty excited about it. So it's pretty cool that a town like this does that. So.
Right. Scheduling of meetings.
Just one reminder, or let the council know, your next council meeting will be Tuesday, September 17th. And that'll be our Student Government Day. That's when the students from the high school come over and they participate in our morning staff meetings. They job shadow with various cities departments, and then they come back and sit with the council during the council meeting. It's an exciting day, and the students love to do that. And I think it's good for both the city employees and the students. So that'll be at your next council meeting.
Thank you. Seeing no other items to discuss this evening, I'll adjourn this meeting. Thank you.